So in this video, we're going to introduce the cosine rule and then look at how we can use it to work out a missing side. So a cosine rule is either used to calculate the length of a side of a triangle given two sides and the included angle, or the angle given all three sides. And in this video, we're going to look at using it to work out a missing side. So in triangle ABC, to work out the missing side, a squared is going to equal b squared plus c squared minus 2bc multiplied by the cos of angle A. And then to get a on its own, we'll obviously have to square root our answer to this equation. Now we need to note that the angle A has to be opposite the missing side. So to find a length using the cosine rule, you must know two sides and the included angle, and it doesn't matter which side is called B and which side is called C as long as they are adjacent to the angle. So in this example, we want to find the length of A in this triangle ABC shown in the diagram. And we can see that the missing side A is opposite angle A, which is 80 degrees. So we're going to write out our cosine rule. So a squared is going to equal b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of angle A. Now we know that A is our missing side, and we can annotate b as 62 and c as 50 millimeters. So a squared equals 62 squared plus 50 squared minus 2 multiplied by b, which is 62, multiplied by 50, and multiply that by the cosine of 80 degrees, which is our angle A. And if we put that in our calculator, we're going to end up with a squared equaling 5,267.38, and so on. Now we're going to use the answer button to square root that 5,267.38 without rounding it to get an accurate value of A equaling 72.57, and so on. And we can round that to 73 millimeters, as that's the same accuracy of the other sides in our diagram. Now, if we want to use the cosine rule in a bearings context, the example here says the bearings and distances of two oil rigs from Aberdeen are oil rig 1 is at a bearing of 028 degrees at 116 kilometres, and oil rig 2 is at a bearing of 081 degrees at 104 kilometres. And we want to know how far apart the oil rigs are. So we need a sketch. So let's mark point A, which is Aberdeen, and put north. And we need to first look at where oil rig 1 is going to be. So you can see in the question, it tells us oil rig 1 is at a bearing of 028 degrees, so that's clockwise from north, at a distance of 116 kilometres. So if we measure around 28 degrees from north in a clockwise direction, and we're going to draw in a line representing 116 kilometres, that's going to be our oil rig 1, we're going to call that point B, and again we're going to mark on north. And now we need to annotate on our length of 116 kilometres and our angle of 28 degrees. Then we need to consider where the position of oil rig 2 is going to be, and it's at a bearing of 081 degrees clockwise from north at a distance of 104 kilometres. So we're going to measure round 81 degrees from north this time, and we're going to draw in our line to represent 104 kilometres, and we're going to mark on oil rig 2 as point C, and we're going to label in north for that point. And then we're going to annotate our diagram with our 104 kilometres, and the total size of our angle from north to that line is 81 degrees. And the distance, or how far apart the oil rigs are, is the distance between B and C. So if we draw a separate sketch so that we can annotate the information that we need to use our cosine rule, we've got angle A, angle C, and angle B. We know the distance from A to B is 116 kilometres, the distance from A to C is 104 kilometres, and then we need to work out what angle A is, And we can do that by working out the difference between 81 and 28, giving us angle A is the size of 53 degrees. And we can annotate our diagram. And we want to work out the distance between B and C, and we're going to call that A. So our cosine rule is A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC multiplied by the cosine of angle A. And then we're going to substitute in our values. So we know that B is 104 squared plus C is 116 squared minus 2 multiplied by 104 multiplied by 116 multiplied the cosine of angle A, which is 53. If we put that in our calculator, we end up with a value of A squared of 9,751.4 and so on. We're going to use our answer button on our calculator in order to square root that 9,751.4, and we're going to then end up with a distance of 98.74 and so on. And we're going to round that to the nearest kilometre, giving us the distance between oil rig 1 and 2 of 99 kilometres.